Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Lifetime Legacy Lawyer Podcast. I'm your co-host, Thomas Vick, joined by the other co-host, Seth Wilson. Seth, how's it going today?
Thomas, I am doing great. It's a nice sunny day outside here in mid-May, and just enjoying the weather and getting some fresh air, on a break to go out and get lunch, doing that kind of stuff. So kind of get you rejuvenated for the afternoon meeting set that we typically have. How about you?
That's right. Well, beautiful down here on the south side of Indianapolis and Greenwood as well. Enjoying this time of the year. Nothing like Indianapolis in the month of May. You got a lot of sports going on, which is always a lot of fun too. So,
yeah.
Well, let's just dive into our discussion today. My blog digest went out and had a couple of different topics on there. The first one is that we want to talk about is estate planning for cognitive decline. And I'll just kind of give you the floor and let you open up that topic for us.
It's a tough one, right? Because you're starting oftentimes to maybe have that question as to whether a loved one is starting to decline in some way. And some days seems just fine and normal, and other days there are indicators that maybe something's changing a little bit there. And so that, I think, is sort of the first thing to think about when we start considering this next phase of life is what are the signs and the symptoms, so to speak, and what are the medical providers maybe giving indications of, so that if that scenario is something that you are facing, you recognize, boy, we probably need to make sure documents are up to date and ready to go before we lose what's called capacity of the individual to make those determinations. So that's kind of where I see that in practice in terms of that. And I thought your blog post did a really nice job of sort of talking about some of the risks associated with that. So maybe if you can chat a little bit about that in terms of how we see that from even kind of a care standpoint, not so much a legal standpoint.
Yes, there are a few items to really be thinking about when it comes to financial risks and cognitive decline. Here, some of them that are listed in the blog this week. First of all, multiple payments to a financial institution. That might be a sign that an individual is sort of on the cognitive decline and is making mistakes with the individual's finances. Maybe they're allowing unauthorized transactions. Maybe friends or family are withdrawing money that they shouldn't, and the individual is not aware of it. Or maybe undervalued property sales. So perhaps there's an agreement to sell a property at a bargain price, and under ordinary circumstances, the individual would never have made that kind of deal. Those are maybe three situations that would cause family members or friends to take a second look and say, my loved one really, is he still all there, or is he starting to lose some of the high functionality that he might have had, in the past? So those are some things to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think that is actually a great segue to one of your other blog posts. And I know just for anyone watching or listening, there's some other great stuff in the estate planning article for cognitive decline. So make sure you go back and read that. But as you think about the financial side of this, what can happen is if these transactions have taken place, that money is often gone or subject to some sort of litigation to try to get those dollars back. But that doesn't help in the interim in terms of maybe covering for some of these costs that are coming up. And so I thought that dovetailed nicely with the idea of, can I afford long-term care? And just speak to us for a few minutes on sort of what are the options available for that long-term care coverage.
Yeah, well, a lot of times people say, I've got Medicare, so I'm covered, and that's not true. Medicare will cover 20 days after a 3-day hospital stay, and then if you have some supplemental policies, it might cover up to 100 days. Medicare will cover up to 100 days, but in a rehab facility, but it's not covering very much, and an individual is going to be paying a lot of cost, medical cost, in taking care of those bills in the 100 days in a rehab facility. And then after 100 days in a rehab facility, there's nothing that Medicare will pay for. And so Medicare is not a great plan for being able to take care of long-term care costs. So a lot of times people are thinking, well, can I get long-term care insurance? That might be a possibility. If you have enough to afford it, it's very expensive, and you got to pass health tests to be able to, and age requirements and all that kind of stuff to get insured under a long-term care insurance policy. So then it's either long-term care health insurance or private paying or Medicaid. And Medicaid is often a route that families will go to get a loved one the care that they need in the nursing home or even at home. And you do that through a lot of different kinds of planning. And there's just a whole host of strategies to do that. The main thing is contacting an elder law attorney, and an elder law attorney can walk you through that process to get qualified for Medicaid while protecting assets.
Yeah, and we've talked in the past about some of those vehicles, if you will, that are available to help move you from point A to point B. But I think that really, as you're thinking about, or maybe getting that first notice that someone is on the decline a little bit, that's often a reality check point in your life where you can look and go, okay, I need to know what the options are, because this could be a slow progression over time, or it could be a very rapid transition. And the more time you have available to use for planning, the more options are available, typically speaking. And so if there is a indication that, boy, something's changing here, that's a good time, obviously, to reach out to medical providers and confirm and see what treatment options are there. But also, it's a good time to reach out to either an estate planning or an elder law lawyer to see what are the options based on what my situation looks like.
Yeah. Lean on the professionals as you're going through that stage in life with a loved one. Lean on your primary care physician and get referrals to whatever kind of specialist that you need. Lean on an elder law and estate planning attorney so that they can guide you through what kind of planning can take place given the circumstances of your loved one. So definitely lean on those that have been in this situation before and make it a practice of helping families through that.
Yeah. And I think we've used this analogy before, but like, I don't work on my own cars because I'm not a good car mechanic, and it would take me much longer to figure it out by Google searching or using YouTube to try to figure out how do I fix or diagnose this problem. Whereas if I go to someone who can do that as normal course, it's probably going to cost less than I was anticipating or afraid of, and it's certainly going to be less frustrating and stressful for me in the midst of even all the different things that are going on. And I can't tell you, obviously you have experience with your clients, but oftentimes my clients are just very overwhelmed with everything that they're trying to do, because they may be caring for their family as well as an aging parent, or, multiple individuals in their family have passed away in a short period of time relative to each other. And that's just a hard thing to carry on a normal day, let alone now trying to provide care services for someone who may need it. So really, I think that's really good advice, to rely on the professionals and reach out. I don't think the cost is probably as much as most people think it is. And I've know good lawyers who work with people and try to take care of people, not just the financial side. So it's always a good thing to reach out and at least get the answers and the options that are available.
Yeah, for sure. I know that our time is a little bit short today because you got a busy schedule up there in Noblesville. But Seth, how can people reach out?
Thomas, it is a pleasure to always chat with you. I love doing this on a weekly basis, even if we do have to cram it in between appointments. Very grateful for that and for work to do. So never a problem there, but it's always a logistical challenge on occasion. So appreciate your flexibility. But yeah, we are here in Noblesville, and that's best way to find us is at our web address, noblesvilleattorney.com. How about yourself?
The best way to get in touch with me is by going to vicklaw.org and book a call right there on the homepage, vicklaw.org. Well, I appreciate it, as always, Seth. Always great talking with you, and we'll talk to everybody next time.
Thanks, Thomas.